If you go watch any trailer for this movie, it really just looks like them screaming all the time in every single scene.
Bing bong!
Together might be one of the most unique horror movies that I have seen this year. Together is the story of a couple, Tim and Millie. They move to the suburbs after Millie gets a new job, and after a hike through the woods that leads them into a very suspicious looking cave with a very suspicious looking pool of water that they drink from, has a very strange effect on their relationship as the film goes on. To be completely honest, this movie was not on my list this year to go see, only because the trailers truly made it look as if it was 2 hours of Dave Franco and Alison Brie screaming. If you go watch any trailer for this movie, it really just looks like them screaming all the time in every single scene. I, knew that this had something to do with some sort of body horror type of thing, and that's not quite my area that I like to go watch, but I wanted to give this movie a chance. I love the actors. I like Alison Brie and Dave Franco a lot, and I like the horror genre, so I wanted to give it a shot. And also, I just wanted to see, is it truly just 2 hours of them screaming, or were those very well edited trailers that kept a lot of what makes the movie special a secret? I can honestly say mostly the latter, but there is a lot of Dave Franco and Alison Brie screaming in horror in this movie. But the film is really, really good. A movie like Together, I think, shouldn't only be taken at face value. This movie, a lot like a film that came out earlier this year, Companion, says a lot about the modern world of dating and relationships and the psychology that goes on between healthy communication and people keeping things to themselves and being embarrassed about certain things. And it's a very interesting way to use the horror genre as a vehicle to have a deeper conversation about relationship dynamics. And on that note, I wanted to say that this movie is not necessarily just a straightforward horror movie. Like, obviously, it's a little bit psychological horror, it's a little bit body horror, but it's also kind of a comedy, and I think some of that is unavoidable when you cast two people who usually do funny stuff, but it also helps keep the movie, not taking itself too seriously, which is really important when you have a concept that gets as wacky as a movie like Together does. It also just sort of pokes fun at itself. It's fully aware of how ludicrous the ideas in this movie are in terms of where they go physically. I appreciated that a movie like this that knows, hey, this is a pretty out there concept that we're attempting to use as a way to talk about relationships and communication and everything. They understand that it's a little bit out there, and it would be weird for them to not acknowledge that it's weird. I also think it was a good idea to cast two people who are actually in a relationship. I know that they were both involved in the production of this movie, so to a certain extent, it does have a lot of their own ideas in it, I'm sure. Well, I know they didn't write it. I know they probably had a decent amount of influence over what the story was and where it went and things like that. But the chemistry of people in a real relationship, I think, lends a lot to this movie, because you feel the conflicts that they have feel very authentic. They don't feel necessarily manufactured. And a lot of the times, if you go into this movie knowing that they are together, it might lead you, a lot like me, to think I wonder how much of these conversations are based around actual conflict that might have arisen in their relationship, and it adds a surprising level of realism to a movie that fully goes off the rails more and more as the runtime continues. Really, I have nothing but good things to say about this movie. I did think, in a couple of nitpicky areas, some of it is predictable. I don't know if that is on purpose, because it almost seems a little too obvious that it would have had to have been intentional for certain aspects of it to be predictable. But really, the only problem I thought kind of arose towards the end was that the movie didn't know when to choose its ending. I understand why they chose the ending they did, and it does work, but I think because of some CGI aspects towards the end of this film, there was probably an ending where they could have cut the movie off 5 seconds before they decided to let the cameras keep rolling, and that would have been a good enough spot to end it for me, because we kind of know where it's going at that point. I know that, again, as a horror comedy mixture, they kind of needed it to take a few more steps towards the ending that they wanted, and it does work. The ending still works. It's not like It's not like it's bad. It's not like they absolutely should have ended it because it completely falls apart. No, it's just that I thought they had a really good ending that didn't necessarily spell it out for you so much. I think that would have worked as well. I will say, Together is definitely going to end up on my list of favorite movies of 2025. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen this year so far. It's very unique if you're someone that wants unique filmmaking and storytelling and unique movies that even though people complain they don't go see them when they come out and they don't make any money, please go see this one. It's very original. It's really, really good. It's not as screamy as I thought it was going to be. It's a lot of fun. Easily a movie that I could see myself watching again, and definitely one of the best movies of the year so far.